welcome to the Personal PR Show, to another episode of the Personal PR Show. Today, I'm super excited to introduce two lovely ladies to you. One of them you might recognize already. It's our Angela. Angela has already been on the show, right? Exactly. Plus today we have Angela's business partner, Anke, on the show with us as well. Hello, lady.
Hello.
How are you?
Really, really good. Really good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yes. And by the way, where are you girls based?
I'm in Wales in the UK.
And I'm in the south of Spain.
Oh my God, I'm a little bit envious because it is becoming cold here in Zurich. I don't know about Wales. Is it becoming cold as well?
Oh, seriously, yeah. We've had some serious rain in Wales.
Oh, I'm still in sleep. I'm still sleepless, but I've actually today, I really thought like today is kind of the shift. There's literally like down here, there's between summer and flip-flops and winter and boots, there's kind of one day. And I sort of feel we're like on that day today because I've actually got like a jacket here, and I think tomorrow I'm gonna put the flip-flops away.
Oh my God, it happens in one day. So you have to be prepared, of course. Okay. But you are German, so you are prepared, of course, well organized and prepared. It goes, you know, with the German national
identity. Don't believe it. She so is. She's one of the most incredibly organized people that I've ever met in my life, which is why she's my partner.
I'm very organized in some things and not that organized in others. So.
But yeah, by the way, how did you girls meet?
You go for this one, Anke.
Well, we met during coach training. Like that's really where we first met. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was somewhere we coincided, and there was just something in what you said that, you know, where there was this sense of resonance. There was this like, and we basically, and that was like I did coach training in 2016. So 2016 or 17 is when we met.
Yeah, I think it was 2017 into 2018, and we stayed in contact and did little pieces of work together because I knew Anke was a real good sort of top software techie person behind the scenes, and I was a very front-facing non-techie person who needed a techie person. So we stayed in contact, and then when I was looking for a new platform for the Visible Club, after I'd sort of started that sort of beta testing journey, as it were, and I was looking for a new platform, literally that thought went out one day, and I think a couple of days later I had a message from Anke in my inbox saying, just thought I'd kind of, you know, make contact with you again and see how you are. And I thought, well, that couldn't have been more timely. So we started working together, and Anke was putting our new platform together, and in the middle of working with Anke, I just had that sense of I don't know, just one of those senses that come to you every now and again, that I could either create 100%, I could either have a business where it was 100% mine, but it might not get off the ground. It might be really slow. We had some challenging personal circumstances on my side, which could really kind of impact what I could do with it. Or I could share my business with somebody and go further and faster, or, you know, and have more impact with it. And so I think sometimes what I see in the online space, or with a lot of people, is so many people are talking about their personal successes and their personal sort of standing on their own personal mountain of guruism. And what I had an opportunity to do, which I did not realize was just fundamentally one of the best decisions I've ever made, was to actually kind of have 100% of nothing or 50% of something that was really impactful, and it, you know, to actually give your baby away that you created and to bring somebody else in. You have to be very careful with that, because creating partnerships is not a quick and easy decision to make. We really sat on it for a while. I let Anke make, you know, the decision that it was her. I knew it was her all along, but I had to get her to.
This was so funny though, you know, because she was saying one day, she goes, "Oh boy, I really need somebody like you," you know, and then it was like we both looked at each other. Well, how about me. So it was like, instead of looking for somebody like me,
and the thing
what
about
if we already had what we were looking for?
Exactly. And the thing that's worked so well, and I've seen people do partnerships, and I had a partnership that didn't work before, and it didn't work because the other person wanted to do tech back-end stuff, but they really weren't a back-end person. They wanted to be a front-end person, but they were too scared to be. But actually, we really complement each other well. We have the same fundamental ideas about things. We have similar backgrounds, some similar situations. We share the same market, but we're not in competition with each other. So that's why it works so incredibly well in partnership, is that when you share the same market, but they either need you on the front end or the back end of each other, it becomes a really perfect situation to have. So there's, she's like Anke by name, Anke by nature. She has become that grounding force, and because she's got so much valuable understanding around creating and building an online business, and I was really good at the front end of positioning and and sort of getting that USP and sales and messaging, etc. It's been one of the best decisions I personally have made in actually growing. And I also realized it was better for our customers, because it meant that we were able to offer a 360 opportunity for people. We can serve them on the front end and we can serve them on the back end, rather than they have the ability to learn something, but then they have to go and find somebody to do the, to understand the tech or understand the sales. We were able to actually create that level of, I suppose, convenience store for people to really understand the step-by-step process of building a business. And that kind of, I suppose, brings us into one of the reasons for even doing the summit, was to actually answer some of the things that we're hearing from people. We hear things all the time, and it's not about throwing courses together or throwing summits together or throwing things together that people don't need just to sort of prove something. We're looking at things in the marketplace that our customers and other people that I'm seeing are saying all the time, and we want to actually bring really good thought leaders together and people that we know have something important to say on this topic, to answer that valuable content for people.
Wow, this is amazing. I love the story of how you got together. You created this partnership, and who's taking care of what. So I understand that you, Anke, are more on the back end, and you, Angela, more on the front end, right? But what is it, before we get to talk about this summit, which is going to be amazing. So guys, please stay tuned, because you're going to learn so much. But before we do that, maybe how about we talk about what you offer together? What is it that you created together?
Go for it, Anke. We'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I think obviously we've had lots of discussions, like what is it that we're actually creating and how is it different? Because what we see a lot is that people come and they take one course after another, and there's like, here, a 90-day strategy to do this thing, and 90, whatever, 6 figures in 6 weeks over here. And what, in our experience, having little bits here, little bits there is only ever getting you so far. You kind of make a little bit of progress with a skill here, and you have a little tool over there, but it feels disjointed, and you kind of have that sense like you're flapping your wings, but you're all over the place. So whereas like we keep coming back to that image of building a house, right? So it's a building project, and it isn't done overnight. And it isn't strictly linear, but there are certain steps that you might want to do before the others. So there is method in the madness, and it's really about working with people who have either bought all the disjointed courses and found they don't really move anywhere, or people who want to build their business with a solid foundation from the start and literally embrace the building process, rather than wasting time and wasting headspace and energy on chasing shortcuts and a little like quick fix here and a quick fix there. So it's about, let's just slow down and make this a building project where you literally build a solid foundation and build and design the thing the way you want it, so that actually you build the business that you really want and not what you think you should have.
Wow,
I love that. Yeah, just to throw in on the back of it, there's when I had the idea for the Visible Club, which was at the start of lockdown, I had fundamentally seen something really similar in the marketplace. And one step deeper on that was the reason why people were struggling and stuck is they hadn't discovered their voice. First of all, they had not. You can't get visible with a voice that you haven't discovered. You know, that's why people are not actually. That's why I love what you're doing on thought leadership, because you actually have, unless you're standing for something, there's nothing to say. So not only that, but in my background and around the building project, before I started my first business in 2008, I used to sell houses for a big developer. I watched the building process, and I love selling houses and I love property, and I really, really thrived in that. What I understood about it is that there's an innocence behind it, but a very flipping deadly one. There is a team of people that create building a house. You know, if somebody does a big DIY project, it takes them a long time to do it on their own. What I wanted to create was a space, particularly for self-employed people, because I think self-employed people need extra special support. You take the risk in going out on your own. There is nobody there to sort of, it might be that you're not around the water cooler anymore and nobody's telling you what to do, but at the same time you have no perspective except the one that you've got, and so you are fair game for just about every bit of marketing out there that you may or may not lead in the moment. But if you don't understand that there's some groundworks to kind of unearth first. And for me, the groundworks were things like, who are you? Who are you going to be in the marketplace? Who do you want to serve? What is your background? What is your skills? You know, I spoke to somebody last night. I mean, quickly, I am doing some cold sales calls, and this goes very into the whole kind of having sales conversations for a previous mentor of mine. And he's wanted to create a new sales funnel with a book that he has, and he's got Facebook ads running to it, and there's some upsells, and there's an upsell to an action plan, and he's wanting to test, you know, not him or whatever it is, or having team do the sales calls and having a funnel, because of the level that he's at now, that makes perfect sense for what he's wanting to grow into. So he's asked me to do some of the sales calls, and oh my goodness me, the learning curve is huge. So I'll say this, is like, I'm used to selling I've learned the learning curve of selling our own products and programs and the objections and the different things. But what you start to see when you are in those roles of having sales conversations, you see where people's readiness is. You see why people are booking off a Facebook ad, why they're not, what state of play they're in. And unless you're prepared to have those conversations and have them without agenda, as it were, and to start to see where people are. And some of the things that I noticed, just say what call I had last night, I couldn't help myself but not follow the kind of, and I don't have a sales script, as it were, in any way, shape or form, but I felt like I had to stand and tell this person a bit of truth, because I said, why are you even on this sales call with me? He said, well, to learn. I said, to learn what? Well, how to run a sales call. And I went, have you bought this in a program? Have they asked you to come on and have sales conversation? He said, oh no. I said, so what are you hoping to get from it? Because you, at the minute, you've signed up to like 5 different programs. How on earth are you going to grow a business from this? You know, and this is what we're facing in the marketplace. I jest you not, you have got what I call cherry picking and toe dipping. Everybody's got some other mentor, but there's nobody willing to commit to one. I'm not a guru. I'm not a guru. We're not coming from this from a guru status. We're coming from this from business owners that have been in business for many, many years, had to pivot, had to ride rough. We've changed markets. We've changed businesses. It's not about, you know, your 15 seconds of fame and following somebody else's formula. If we don't have the nuts and bolts, if we don't understand what the foundations are in place, you know, I'm selling somebody else's material at the moment and having those sales conversations so that he can work out whether his advertising is in the right direction, who's actually coming on the calls, where are they in their state of building a business, and you look at some points, and I could throw my hands up in horror as to the fact, since the pandemic, the noise online and the amount of marketing and do that. And the word without, I almost want to ban the word without in copywriting, because it's become this thing. Grow your business without an audience, grow your business without any work at all, grow your business without this, bring more leads in without that. And I want to ban the word, because all it's doing is it's giving people a completely false idea of what it's going to take. It's making some people a lot of money at the expense of people's delusion, to be quite honest. And what we want to do is, through the Visible Club, is actually have practical, proven, step by step, how you can put in the things in place for the type of bespoke business that you want, or bigger business, whatever it is. Put those pieces in place and learn yourself what it is you need to do. Because if you don't know what decision you are making next, you're going to hire anything and buy anything that's going to waste your time, slow you down, and cost you more money, time and effort. And we want to do that and be that support for like-minded, self-employed business owners. That I have Anke every single week to bounce off. We work out what we're doing that's working, that's not working, but nobody else has that, unless they're just, as Anke said, they're buying piecemeal things and they're not finding the real process. And then what they do is, there's a lot of self-blame, there's a lot of self-shame, there's a lot of giving up and going back into employment, when if you've left employment, you left it for a reason. And going straight back into the same thing does not make the problem go away. You now know what freedom is like, but you couldn't make it work. And we're here to say is, which makes it worse, which for me is, yeah, I didn't realize I was so flipping passionate about this whole thing. But because I'm doing these sales conversations, I'm realizing where people are at, and it's breaking my heart to see the misunderstanding around what it actually takes to create offers that sell, have a message that you can go out with in the marketplace, know how to position yourself, know how to get on a call with somebody and work through objections, and then actually have your customers come in and work out what's working for them and what's not, and getting the right type of customer in. That is such an evolution that every single person has to take. There are ways of fast tracking things, but there are no shortcuts if you want a solid, sustainable business for yourself and to bring that income into your own lifestyle. That's what I've seen, and I think that's my mission. And I'm incredibly humbled to have found somebody like Anke who shared the same vision, because I think that's quite a rarity in what I'm seeing online these days. That was quite a rant. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I love rants. I love it. I love a bit of a passionate rant. I think.
Oh my God,
I mean, the only thing I want to
pulled out.
Yeah, and the only thing I want to add to that quickly is to offer that space for people to go through that evolution, because one thing that I see a lot that is kind of a logical consequence of this whole piecemeal 90 days to success kind of thingy is that people don't recognize that this isn't a linear process. It's a series of experiments, and not all of them will go your way. So most of the time people try something out, you know, they go, oh, there's no strategy. And then they go, I'm going to do the thing. And oh no, I didn't sell anything from that webinar. And then they go down the self-doubt route. And then they question everything, when it's really like, okay, that was your, like, just basically be there to put people's heads straight and change their perspective to kind of help them see, yeah, that was just one experiment. Didn't quite go the way you thought it would. Okay, use that information to set up your next experiment, which basically allows them to keep putting one foot in front of the other, rather than wasting a lot of time and headspace in self-doubt and going down the kind of rabbit hole of frustration where you don't make any progress at all, because that's really what it is. Like, you take, and every time I've got a podcast where I've interviewed loads and loads of people and everybody has the same story, you know, it doesn't always go the way you thought, which quite often ends up being a good thing if you stick around long enough to discover that.
And that's why that's why we decided to buck the trend a little bit and do it over a year, which doesn't even seem an easy sell, as it were, to people, because we're asking for commitment. We're asking for people that are finally ready to lay down the, you know, all of that behavior and actually build something, because everybody knows if they actually had a plot of land and they were going to build their house, that they're not going to do that in 6 weeks. You know, what are you going to build in 6 weeks? You know, what kind of structure are you actually going to build in 6 weeks? Where you only need to go to the UK or to Germany to see castles that took them 40 years to build and have lasted 2,000 years or 400 years, etc. So the quality of the material that you're building with, and the time and the way that you build is going to be the measurement of what's actually going to last from that. And this, you know, the conversations that I had, I mean, at least the guy was really honest with me last night. He said, I thought I would suddenly, you know, he'd got, you know, a job in a very different environment, and he put out a course with, you know, YouTube ads or whatever it is in something completely different. And he said, I said, have you had any sales from that? Because I kind of knew the answer. And he said, oh, no, I haven't. And I went, it's not surprising, really, if you really look at the cost of the effort. He said, well, I really wanted low-hanging fruit. I thought it was low-hanging fruit. And this is what is sold to people, this idea of a fast buck, a quicker way through it, a low-hanging fruit. And I went, well, low-hanging fruit only happens when you've actually got an audience and a trusted relationship with them. And then you're putting something back out to them that they couldn't have, or they missed out on the first time, and you've got a promotion on that, or there's a way of working with you again. They said it doesn't come when you don't, there's no such thing as low-hanging fruit. You know, we're not just, you know, if there's an orchard and it's got fencing around it, you might be able to see all of that low-hanging fruit, but you've got no access to it. And people just think that by paying for some ads or throwing a course together, that they are going to get this passive income that's going to last them through past their retirement, and they don't have to do any work for it. This money is just going to fall into their bank account because that's the webinars, that's the stuff they're watching. Well, possible, absolutely possible, but not without all the pieces in place first, not without them in place. So you know, they say the best time to build a, you know, to start growing a forest is today. So it's about just settling down and going, there are some missing pieces in my understanding of business building, and we are here. That's what we do. Is for us, it is about taking a longer, slightly slower journey where you actually end up in 12 months time in a more solid place than you would be if you just took 12 week after 12 week after 12 week after 12 week. And I think, you know, and people are just, there's nothing wrong with people's courses. There's nothing wrong with a thing on webinars or a thing on YouTube ads or a thing. There is nothing wrong in it, depending on where you are in your business journey right now and what makes sense for the very next level of advertising and marketing. And that is the biggest lie that people don't know, because you have to take the word without and you have to question it, because if it's without any knowledge or understanding or work or an audience, or, you know, you've got to question it. There's no such thing as a free lunch out there, really.
Oh my God, yes, that's true. I remember what you said a few minutes ago. You said, yeah, reach six figures without working even.
Like, I mean, it's insane. It is just it's sad and insane. And isn't it true? It's like, I could scroll down those advertisements. I could scroll down my email at the moment and see a bunch of stuff. In fact, there was one in my LinkedIn, you know, an in-mail from an email, you know, an in-mail thing from somebody saying, you know, would you like more leads to create 20k a month? And I'm like going, I don't know you. I don't know your track record. How can you guarantee that? You don't know my business. You don't know whether that's even possible for the stage of business that I'm at, or the price points. It's kind of so, you know, it's so sad. And it's like sort of, you know, it's like batting away, you know, all of this stuff. And until, I think most people, they end up with, you know, in hindsight, as it were, you know, but the problem with in hindsight is that most people have overspent, are in debt, and they're no further forward. And that to me is, I think that to me is, you know, whilst there's nothing ethical in that, you know. So for me, around creating powerful sales conversations is also about truly being able to qualify the person in front of you. So, you know, and not just be selling something to somebody and just saying, well, it doesn't matter if you haven't got any track record. It doesn't matter. There might be 1 or 2 unicorns out there that are suddenly ready without a track record to kind of put the action in. But the majority of people, there's mindset issues. They don't know how to sell. They haven't got an offer. They don't know what the message is. They don't know what they stand for. And that is not a quick process for most people to do. It needs somebody of experience to be able to help them put those pieces together and help them, you know, to actually make sense of it and start to make some progress and some money in their business then.
Oh my God, this is all amazing. I have so many questions. The first one, I guess, is, this is really, really an exciting conversation and powerful, as the title of your summit says, how to create powerful sales conversations. So let's get back to the Visible Club for a second. We said that it's a 1-year long container. And I was asked, and it appears that you do cover a lot of ground during this year. May I ask you, more or less, if you want to briefly talk about it, what the curriculum is? What is it that you cover exactly? Because it sounds so complete.
Go for it, Anke. What's curriculum?
Well, I mean, there's basically there's 2 large parts, two large elements that we kind of cover, right? So one, we always call it message and mechanics, right? Because you can't have one without the other. And that's another thing that is usually people teach a strategy and then you're kind of on your own. Or you've got the technicians who kind of expect you to know what you want, you know? So basically that's one thing where we kind of offer both. But what we actually do is we work with people when people come on board, we work with them to create their own plan, right? Based on where they at. Because we found if we just put together a bunch of modules, then we're kind of like everybody else. We're kind of exactly doing what we say isn't working, to just push people through arbitrary kind of like, okay, these are the modules. So we do a real deep dive onboarding call with people to develop their own plan, which takes them, okay, this is where you're now, this is where you want to go, here are the milestones, and then we support them throughout the year with whatever they might need. Sometimes, quite often, it's about understanding service from, you know, stop coming from this angle of, I want people to know this thing, and actually look at it through the angle of what do actually people are looking for. That kind of stuff, the positioning, the messaging, the offer, and then how do I put this all together? Where does the button go, right? So it's basically any elements, any skills they might need, any, you know, emotional or mindset support they need to bring that plan that they've created themselves to life. That's the curriculum.
It sounds so complete, and it sounds as there's a lot of accountability as well. Wow.
Well, that's a really good observation, Jessica, is around that accountability, because interesting enough, being self-employed people, nobody likes to be told what to do they? Because they've left that idea of being told what to do. So we did the interesting side of where the accountability has come from. I would say the accountability often now is coming through the conversations. Whereas, you know, we've done the accountability forms, we've done all of that kind of stuff where people say, what's the curriculum? But you and I both know that, I don't know, the actual percentage of people starting a course and actually finishing it is incredibly low. So yes, there are, you know, back catalogue of masterclasses and different things that people can actually watch. But one of the things that in that container that we thought was very important is that people were not consumers, but creators. You know, because they're coming from a place of just consumerism most of the time. They don't trust themselves to create. They don't know what to create, as Anke was saying. So first of all, the first part is to create the business that they think they actually want to create, because that's about their voice. That's about what they want and about getting, and that's already removing everybody else's voice out there about what you should create, as it were. Because many people I've seen, you start down a road of creating something and then realize actually it's not going to work with your lifestyle, it's not going to work with your family, you actually don't want the thing that you think that you're creating. You've borrowed everybody else's conditioning of what success is, you know. So first of all, we've got to kind of root that out, otherwise we're actually building something that you don't want in the first place, and there will be an energetic closed for business sign up on that to start with. then what we find as we go through with people around the accountability is how many times people say that they're going to do something, and then the next week they've forgotten what the heck they're even going to do, and it's not happened. So they've gone back to all of this old behavior. So Anke runs these incredible sessions called the CEO sessions, and they don't know what they're going to get every week now. So for instance, it'll be, you know, she'll ask them to do something, and it could be like, well, what were you said that you were doing last week? And then they're all looking a little bit sheepish because they realize that actually that the awareness is coming through the conversation.
Up on that one now.
They have, but the awareness is coming through that actually I'm an adult person, and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what to do, or I'm saying I'm going to do this and I'm not doing it. So the awareness, you know, fear is broken through awareness and action. And you can't often, people will not take, there's nothing wrong with, we've had this discussion, there's nothing wrong with a healthy bit of procrastination, because most people are procrastinating and beating themselves up, but actually they're not clear on the thing they're trying to even do in the first place. So it just, you know, doesn't work out. So this accountability is happening in different ways when people suddenly, they're starting to come around. There's a truthfulness, almost like an unbecoming of what everybody else thinks you should be, and a becoming in terms of even seeing where they're holding themselves back, or what they're doing and not doing to actually become more visible or more valuable. And then they suddenly realize they're trying to shortcut the process by, they just want somebody to, I've got an idea for a retreat. And then it's kind of like, well, who's going to buy it? Why would they want it? Why would they say no to it? There's just what I call the $10,000 work is not, nobody wants to do that, because they get a great idea, and then either they don't know how to get it out, the mechanics of it, or the message behind it is not fully thought out. So that, and again, they have to keep coming up against this, because everybody has sold them a sort of barrel of half truths, as it were. And that's the thing is, there's part truth in there. So of course we want to go towards what we see as the truth, and then before we know it, we're bumping up against the things that don't work. And so in that space of real looking at it, they get to personally see what they're at and what they're up against. And in that conversation becomes their own accountability, because I don't think you need to say to people what to do when they realize what they're not doing themselves, and they come to that level of insight in their own journey. It's like it's an inside out job, because you are always more motivated when you see the truth for yourself, and then you start to make a choice for change, rather than just be kind of, because if people get behind in things, they tend to drop out. It feels like school. It feels like, you know, I'm behind, so I'll just find an excuse not to continue. And there's so much of that going on that we thought we have to remove that space of judgment, self-judgment, of criticism, and be in that space with people where you actually get an insight into go, well, actually, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, or I need to make a different decision here. And suddenly progress can start to occur again, and that growth cycle can occur. So it's both intuitive, there are processes and milestones, but it's about being with people, and it's about being with those entrepreneurs and having them show up and be prepared to be in a space with other people where they can actually see the truth of what is or isn't working for them, and start to make genuine progress to grow a business that works for them and for the customers that they want to have. So we're not anti-milestone, we're just anti-formulas. I'm not anti-framework, I'm just anti-formulas.
Anti-cookie cutter.
Anti-cookie cutter, because I don't think any business is truly cookie cutter. There are processes, there are steps, there are stages, just like there is to a house build, as it were. And once you've understood that, you can replicate things. But I tell you what, coming from the house building industry, you could have the same design of house, okay? And this is why the business courses often don't work, right? Think about groundworks, okay? Groundworks is the human soil that this house is going to be built on and through. You can have the same design of house and you can put it in several locations, but you are never going to know until you start building what on earth is under that ground. And for some people, you can't build that house in that place. It's got to have deeper foundations to it. Other things go up quicker. Other things you've got to unearth a whole lot before that build can even go up. And this is the truth about the human psyche and the way people's experiences have been. We can have the same design house, the same milestones in there, but every single piece of land that you build that on, or every single human that's building a business, is going to have a completely different experience of the build process in the first place.
And the thing that I find really beautiful to observe when people come together like that is that how much headspace that clears up when they see that other people don't have their ducks in a row either, right? Because that's the thing, like, and I've heard this like so many times. It's like, oh, I thought it was just because there's often, when you're in isolation, there's often this, you see, you scroll on social media, you see everybody's shop window and everything looks perfect, and people so often think, oh, it's just me who's a mess, where I still haven't got my message right after whatever, right? So there is this sense your expectations are being messed with dramatically by all the marketing that's out there. So that's what shapes people's expectations and what they think they should and shouldn't be, the progress and how this should go. Now, when they're in a group with other people, especially when there's an honest space like that, where people don't come to, where people actually say, look, I tried this and it didn't work, right? So when there's openness, people go, oh, and I thought it was just me. So, and that is, it's not just that we can kind of congratulate each other in our misery. It's about having this it takes up so much headspace and energy. What if I'm doing wrong? Maybe I should try over here. Maybe this, like that all goes away. And that same energy can be put forward towards the next step, that's in front of you. And you actually do it, because you're no longer preoccupied with all the stuff that you think you should have done or should have had, because you think, well, it's actually not me. And you learn to relax into that process. So often I say, like, you would not go and hover over a plant to try and make it grow faster. Allow yourself to grow and evolve and emerge as that business person who can pull off the business that you want.
Absolutely. Ladies, you've said such wise things, like really dropped golden nuggets here and there, left and right, as totally natural way. Wow, you are amazing. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, how did you get the idea of the summit, which is actually an audio summit? Because usually summits these days are video, right? So when I heard audio summit for the first time from you girls, I was like, wow, this is actually cool. This really stands out. So how did you get the idea and how did you put it together? Because I know that you managed to bring to bring so many, I would say, celebrities even into the summit. Wow, your networks are really outstanding.
Anke, that's down to you. Go for it.
No, the summit idea, like I can't take the credit for the idea of the audio summit. So somebody taught this and my reaction was like yours, and ooh, I like the idea. So I've been doing them for quite a while, and there's always a sense of, oh, this is just the anti kind of all, like, it's basically like a real summit, just without anything that can make summits a bit annoying, which is usually for people this information overload, right? And these demands on your schedule, like you must watch this thing today because tomorrow it's going to be away, and not all of that. So it basically, or it's even for the speakers, it's like, oh yeah, you're one of 50 speakers and nobody's even going to take notice, and the people who are going to sign up to your email list will unsubscribe because 2 minutes later they can't remember what the hell they signed up for because they've signed up for 50 different things. So it works for all three parties. It works for the speakers because they get a lot more visibility. It works for the attendees because they don't get swamped with all that information. And by having it being a podcast, technically speaking, it's so easy to just pop it into your ears when you're, got out for a walk with the dog, or you're sitting in the car waiting to pick up the kids, right? So it's easy to consume, and it's not that much content, even if you were to binge listen to everything. So there's none of that time pressure. And so it's just, this thing works around you and not you. You don't have to make space and work yourself. And to organize it, it's a much, much easier job to put this together with 6 speakers than having a huge event where you have to deal with 20 speakers or 50 speakers, and it turns into a full-time job. So it works really well to cover a topic in depth from all these different angles. And this topic in particular is one that we've seen it so many times that people struggle with it, because there's so many resources that talk about, okay, what to do in a sales conversation and objection handling and this and that. And most of the time, and I remember being there when I first finished coach training, and you hear all this, like, this is what and I'm like, yeah, well, this would be a luxury problem to have if I knew how to even get people into this conversation. So it's literally like taking a step back, and it's something that comes up all the time, that people say, I kind of know what to do when somebody sits in front of me, but I don't know how to get them there. That's usually, it shows up in people saying, I just wish somebody would bring me leads, or somebody would just send people my way. Why? Because you don't know how to create those conversations and to have different, because it's not one thing works for everyone. So to have 6 different speakers come at it from those different angles, so there's a good chance that whoever you are, or however you are introvert, extrovert, however you roll, you're bound to get some insight that will help you create more of those conversations.
Sorry, I was muted because there's construction work. All of a sudden there was construction. It started half an hour ago during our call, and I can't get up and close the door. Of course, that wouldn't be polite of me to leave you girls here alone. So I'm constantly muting myself, and I'm muting myself when I speak. But I love everything that you said, Anke, and what stood out to me especially is the logistics. I mean, of course, everything is relevant, and but the logistics, that's true, because you created a summit that exactly. Sorry, Angela, I'm going to use a word that you don't like, but I'm going to say without. This summit is without all of the annoying bits that a lot of summits have, right?
Well, that's a genuine without, isn't it? Now, and here's the bit. So here's to qualify the word without, okay? When we've put that together, as Anke said, it brings people onto, our list, and we hope that we've got the right people coming through. We'll be able to see who's coming on, then we can become visible and valuable to them. We've put the summit together without those annoying bits, so that people can actually see the genuine energy that we're actually coming from for this, because I think this is the key almost behind everything. There's a discernment needed in the marketplace, and at some level people haven't got that, but at some level, at some point, as people's buying habits change, or it becomes harder to sell, so people just throw more kind of tactics at it. People are looking, I always say people are looking for 3 things from us. They are looking for, the job of marketing has to just do 3 things. It has to be relevant to them to start with, so we have to be giving the right, the relevancy. So for those people that feel as if they don't know how to get a sales conversation going, then this is going to be a relevant series of interviews and valuable help from people right at that point of need. So there's a relevancy, so that awareness goes, well, these people are putting something genuinely relevant in front of me. The second thing is they have to see that the people that are doing it are the real deal, because we're looking now for where the agenda is, and I think we should be looking for where the agenda is with people, because otherwise you are buying into courses and different things at the wrong stage of business with the people that actually don't care about you at all. They don't care about your journey, they don't care about what you're doing. There's not a genuine, I'm going to just say it as it is, it's about self, not service. And I think I remember listening to an 80-year-old psychiatrist, I think she's a psychologist. She was 80 and still practicing. And she said something that profoundly affected me. She said, the price we pay for being in this world is service. It's like, we are here to be of service. If you are building a business, it is, of course we want the business to actually provide for us. Of course we want you know, have nice lifestyles or whatever it is, and be able to not scrabble for money to pay the bills, etc., or to work. You know, of course we want that. The business has to pay a lot of people, including suppliers and also all manner of people. But the fundamental heart of why somebody goes into business has to be because they want to serve a group of people well. It has to be service. It cannot be selfish. Okay? It might be shellfish, but it can't be selfish. But I think, and this too is like, so I'm going to say that we are looking for the real deal out there. We're looking for people that actually, you know, there's that old line, isn't it? People don't care about how much you know anymore, but they want to know how much you care. We're not going to be able to help everybody or be liked by everybody, but we have got to have businesses that we have to have a fundamental core vision and mission that is around service. If we haven't got that, then there's not the real deal there. It's selfish and you want to run a mile. And then the final thing is we have to have a relevant process that we take people through. So you asked about us. So we have a kind of anti-process. We want to almost craft the actual milestones with people at the beginning of their journey, which is why we are not a volume business. We are quality over quantity. We are very careful of who we bring into the Visible Club. It is not just about money in the door and vanity metrics, because we feel responsible. And at the same time, you know, if people are paying us money, they need a return on that investment. They might get stuck, they might get challenged, no doubt they will be. But the point is that they go on a journey with themselves and with us, and that relevant process becomes the basic building blocks that they can take forward with them in whatever they do. And I think that is the job that we have to do with our marketing, whoever we are these days.
Definitely. Oh my God, I agree on everything. And I'm so excited also that it sounds like the perfect combination, the Visible Club, the program that you're building, that you're bringing people through over a year of time, we said. And at the same time, the summit, how to create powerful sales conversations, sounds like the perfect, how do you say? Oh, I can't remember the word. It's a compliment, right? It's a perfect compliment. So yes, and this is the way to get to know you as well, because I know actually, okay, I'm going to disclose, I am one of the 6 speakers. Okay, now I can announce that. Great. So, and I can announce finally now that I had the honor and the pleasure to be one of the 6 speakers. Like, it's a real honor, because it's not that there are 40 speakers on this summit, there are only 6, right? So thank you so much again for inviting me. And this is actually a way, I would say, for the general public to get to know you, because I've had one of the interviewees, and I know that I wasn't the only one who wasn't talking. It was really a conversation. And through this conversation, I got to know the 2 of you as people, as professionals as well, as founders of the Visible Club as well. So I think that through, conversation by conversation, if people listen to the summit, they will get to know the 2 of you and the Visible Club much better. So that would be great to get like a first taste of the Visible Club. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the whole point, to give people an experience of, what we stand for, because it's also, even the choice of speakers already says a lot about what we stand for, right?
And it speaks to your networks as well. I've been a super connector for 10 years. I love networking, and I'm really impressed by people who have a strong network like the networks that you have, girls. Did you both manage to get these speakers? I
know them all personally. I've worked with them all personally. So this first one, for instance, it wasn't random at all. I picked people that I knew were particularly they had something very interesting to say around sales conversations, or that there was an angle of the way they were talking about business that I thought was relatable to that. For you, for instance, with thought leadership, I knew it makes it easier to have sales conversations, or to get people onto a sales conversation once you understand personal branding, once you understand positioning, once you understand part of that journey that we talked about. You can start to make the right moves that give people that thing, that you are the real deal, that you have a relevant process, that that you are able to actually, you've got client work, you are not a fly by night. you know, that you actually can take people through a process and genuinely help them. So I'd worked with, and Anke had worked with, everybody on that that we brought together. I personally know them. And when I reached out to them in just a DM and said, this is what we're putting together, we would love it if you, and this is why we're doing it, would you speak? There was an immediate yes for every single one. So we can verify everyone in there that I've personally worked with each and every one of those and been in their programs. So I knew where they were coming from.
I think that's important. I mean, I don't think, well, I've done quite a few of these summits now, and I've done them for clients, and I don't think there's ever been one where you just kind of find a speaker in a Facebook group, right? No, like you need to, because it's I always look at it, it's my responsibility towards the people registering that I offer them speakers and topics that, you know, are worth their time, you know, and I feel responsibility towards the other speakers, right? Because it's like your face next to these other people. So I want to make sure I honor each speaker as well, to make sure that they don't lose their reputation by speaking on our summit. So it's like, you know, and that's the thing, it does say a lot about us, who we bring in there and what they talk about. So speakers are very, very carefully chosen. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, because actually our network is part of our personal brand. It's an integral part of our personal brand, right? Absolutely. I love this. And I can totally confirm that it's a pleasure and it's an honor to see your picture as a speaker, to see your picture next to the picture of celebrity speakers and celebrity coaches, like, for example, Matthew Pollard, right? Whom you're very well good friends with, Angela, right? And yes, I mean, we know that he's like, come on, he's a celebrity speaker. He travels the world speaking, and his fees are crazy, and he can afford it. And he's a published author as well, and he's a business strategist, like for explosive growth as well. So yes, and to see my picture next to his, that really made my month.
Well, and also, you know, it's really important to it's not just, you know, the idea of celebrity is like, these people when I say they are generous, like it's important to see where the generosity is, where people can actually make time or promote you, etc., and, you know, and share your material, because there's nothing, they're not gaining anything particularly by sharing. You know, they're coming on, they know that people, there is a reciprocity, but when that happens and they're sharing that material and they're bringing it to their audience and they're allowing you to be with their audience, then that's, you know, that's really important.
Yes, definitely. Wow, you've done a masterpiece. You've made a masterpiece with this summit. Yes. So when is it going to be live is the next question. Now we're sold. Everybody, I am 100% sure everybody's sold on the summit. Now, when can we watch it? When can we hear it, listen to it?
Yeah. So registration is open now, and the doors open on Monday. So starting Monday, you can go and binge listen to our fabulous speakers and, you know, find that golden nugget that will help you get your calendar fuller than, you know, as full as you'd like it. Let's call it that.
And because there's no false scarcity around it, you can actually, even if you miss a couple of days, you can sign up at any point during the entire week and get access to all of it until it's all done. So they can sign up any time. We'd like them obviously to get it an easy win, but they can just get access to that right the way up to the 12th.
That is great. Yes, and we will be sure to include the link in the comment section of the post as well. So guys, you can subscribe, you can sign up immediately, and then from Monday you will be able to learn so much from all of these wonderful speakers, including we will talk about thought leadership and personal branding and omnipresence, which is one of my favorite topics. Yes,
awesome topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. This is awesome. I think we are already at time. Is there anything, girls, that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you though?
Oh, I don't think so. Anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. Just sign up and allow yourself to enjoy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then girls, thank you so much for all of these golden nuggets, and we'll definitely be in touch as usual. And yes, guys, thank you so much for watching us, and I'll see you next time at the next episode of the Personal PR Show. All right, bye everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.